Da, da. Da, 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 da. There we go. There we go. Nice to see everybody. Good to be back. My name is Dean. And here we are on a Friday. Long weekend. 4th of July weekend. Everybody's angry about fireworks up here in Canada. I think they're angry about fireworks down in the United States, too, where the 4th of July actually means something. Please welcome back to the program, Lachlan Cross, 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton. At Lachlan Cross on Twitter. Hey, dude. Hey.
How are you?
Good. Are you planning fireworks this weekend? Speaking of fireworks, we got a heck of a show. A humdinger, as they say. Little humdingage. Douglas and Paulie are here from the
Did Canada Day kind of creep up on you?
Can I just finish the intro for a second?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I still love you. Douglas and Paul are here for the True North Eager Beaver podcast. And we're going to talk a little bit about. Thank you for flossing your teeth live on the show. By the way, that is
I got up.
Yeah, you got a steak in there, and that one of those things you call teeth. I love it.
Gitteries. Yeah, I got fucking dog's teeth. Do me a favor. Turn your mic up just a bit. Just a bit.
Right.
Sorry.
All right, mic's turned up. We're good.
Okay.
Right. So we've got Douglas, and we're going to talk a little bit about, because Douglas is gay. He's an openly gay man who lives an openly gay life, talks about openly gay things, but he's an advocate for human beings, more importantly, and he hosts like one of the biggest podcasts in Canada and one of our most highly rated podcasts with Paulie called the True North Eager Beaver, and we're going to talk about the LGBTQ flag stomping that's been going on with the idiots, where that stuff comes from. We kind of touched on it Wednesday, and we wanted to get to it today. We're going to talk about some other things, including fireworks. Did Canada Day sneak up on me? I guess. I don't know, man. It's like one of those weird, it's one of those weird things where I'm like not in tune with, like, you used to get so jacked up for May 2-4, get jacked up for the Canada Day weekend. Where are you going? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. It's like just more time. So I guess it snuck up on me, but the last 3 years have kind of fucking snuck on me, to be honest with you. So here you go.
Yeah, no, we were doing the show this morning, and Jimmy goes, "Hey, yeah, have a good long weekend." And I went, "That's right. I got the weekend
work Monday. You don't work Monday?"
Yeah. And then I was like, it's Canada Day tomorrow. And I think because it's falling on a Saturday and not in the middle of the week, that the idea that we should have done something or celebrated in a certain way or capacity sort of fell short, right? Like in our business, there's a conversation. Hey, you think we should maybe put some Canadian splitters in front of the songs that are in Cancun?
We love this country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. And I remember putting those in, but it was like last week because I was working ahead and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of did. It's weird. It's not like it's let's bring our guests in as well. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's bring them in. Yeah.
Please welcome to the program once again Douglas Connors from the True North Eager Beaver, Mr. Beaver from that podcast, which you can download anywhere you get your fine podcast. And Big Dick himself, Mr. Paul Atkinson. Yeah, that's right. All 37 inches of Paul Atkinson, who joins.
I shaved, brother.
He shaved. He grew a beard. The reason why I call him Big Dick, just so everybody knows, is he sent me a selfie. He was totally nude. He said it was artistic. It was weird. I said I wanted to see him naked, which was a joke. It was like 6 months ago. And on Christmas Day, this nudie appears in my DMs, and I didn't even notice it until we did a Christmas Day team thank you phone call. And he's like, "Hey, did you get the picture of my huge dong?"
I noticed it right away.
How could you not? You lose an eye with that thing.
Yeah, that is one impressive weapon you got there. Nice.
Hi, Bridget. My girlfriend's watching.
Oh, is she
if anybody's wondering,
is she watching
Paul
while she
can
walks?
do the wristwatch.
Is she able to walk, or how long have you been?
Oh, that is not good.
I'm asking.
Not saying a thing.
All right, I'm just saying. It's just making sure everybody's okay in that relationship, because I have seen you naked. Congratulations to everybody on this call.
I would have concern for anybody that spent time with you in a bedroom. I understand that it sounds a little rude, and it's a hard thing to come off the top end of a podcast with, but I'm siding with Dean.
I think this is a great place to start.
Yeah, I'm siding with Dean a little bit there. I'm like, you know what? Literally, I don't know the girl, and this is news to me, but we should do checkups on her weekly, Monthly?
James has met her in person. James, when he was here last
DiFiore?
Friday night, on
You
his way to
met
Chicago.
James
he was flying.
DiFiore. I didn't even know you met him. That's hilarious. He's like
Couple
a
of times,
dope.
yeah. Actually, we did we went and did a show. We went to interview Classified back in March, and it was the first time we met out at this place called the Neat Cafe in the middle of nowhere. It's this incredible venue, and we had a great time. Did an interview with Classified. I shot a bunch of video, recorded some audio podcast stuff, and for some strange reason, all the Classified stuff we shot, there was no sound. I have no idea what happened. There was no audio.
Well,
I
you
got all the
screwed it
video,
up.
no
You
sound.
didn't plug something in.
Well,
sounds like.
time for a new computer, I
All
figure. But so James was here in town last week, so we went and met up with him. Went to Al's Steakhouse, just about a block and a half away from here. He was nice enough to treat us to dinner. So he was able to meet Bridget because they had a strange exchange on a Friday night. Casual Friday show. There was a little bit of miscommunication there, so they're all good. They're all cool.
Which
Just
is
so you know,
odd.
it doesn't really matter.
when
Doesn't really matter what
James is
James thinks
involved.
about your. Yeah. It's amazing that conflict follows him around. It's unbelievable.
I'm always shocked when I hear stories like that.
Yeah, it's weird. Douglas is
Hey,
waving
Doug.
his hand. He's like, I've had one of those with him too.
I say nothing. We're good.
Yeah, I know you are.
Good.
And Douglas Connors joins us today as well. He's Paul's co-host. Douglas is eating cheesies, which pissed me off right off the top of the thing because I was like, I'm on this health.
Are they
kick.
Hawkins?
Yeah, of course they are. There's only one cheesy. Don't ever ask that question.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, forget it.
Yeah,
It's
there's-
that or nothing.
There's only
Please
one
sponsor
cheesy.
us.
They do.
Please.
You got them as a
Please.
sponsor.
Please,
You didn't
please
tell me.
sponsor us.
No,
No,
I
he said
said
please. He
No,
said
no, we
please.
want them to.
That was begging.
Yeah, sort of like please clap.
Please sponsor us, Hawkins Cheesies. Yeah, I would take. I don't work for food, just money. I would work for Hawkins Cheesies if they decided to sponsor.
Yeah.
And Farm Boy gluten-free chocolate chip ice cream cookies. Farm Boy, if you're
It's
listening.
very specific.
Yeah,
If you're listening,
that's it.
just saying.
That's a poll.
Just hey,
So,
shameless.
do you like our
self-promotion,
mic
right? That's what
wraps? Do you like our mic flags?
What's
What
that?
do you think about these, gentlemen? I custom made these myself. I did these
Embarrassing.
myself.
Embarrassed me because I don't have one. For me, it's like you guys motor ahead of us in every category, selling merch,
I
mic
could
flashes.
happily make you one, but you need a better mic. You need a better mic.
Well, we're getting new mics. We got. Oh, by the way,
Yeah,
we
okay,
got
good.
all new mics ordered.
Good.
Speaking of microphones, gentlemen, just a quick question for you guys. So Lachlan and I do this for a living. You guys do this for a living as well. You got a tremendous podcast. Any news on, like, I know you guys talk about it daily on the Daily Beaver, which you can get at Crier Media, crier.co. You can go to our socials. But any conversations about the wildfires? Like you can't see across the street where I live right now.
Oh,
like,
it's really
And I don't hear like politicians talking about it. I don't, like, Lachlan and I talked about it 2 or 3 times a couple weeks ago when it was all happening there. You guys hearing anything about these wildfires? And consequently, we'll get to the fireworks conversation in a minute because everybody's angry about those.
Yeah.
But are you? Have you heard anybody address the fact that the country's on
Not
fire
really.
and it's bleeding smoke into fucking Portugal and Spain? No.
that's called the Export A smoke.
Oh yeah.
The Export A smoke.
Right on.
Nice.
Export
I see
A.
what you did there.
Yeah, no one's talking about it, are they, Douglas? Like nobody.
Nope.
I have a theory.
It was the same thing in the Alberta election. I think, one party mentioned it early and then one party didn't mention it at all. Now, it could be a case of people just wanting to leave room for any communication on this to go to the people who are providing the emergency services and making the emergency announcements, not create any noise, which would be a smart thing to do. But the level of at which people don't seem to be talking about it or acknowledging it, except for that one moment that we did have on the show, where we showed where the Prime Minister was getting a little actually fired up, the type of guy that Locke keeps on saying he wants to see, rather than the guy with the veneer that shows a little fire and a little grit. But other than that, there hasn't really been anything, no.
No.
But I mean, this one is so big and so huge that it's almost, when we got to that phase of COVID where the Prime Minister was coming out every day, but there wasn't really that much new for a while, for about a month before they started cutting it down to once a week or something. It's sort of that type of deal, because it started early. It's already burned more in one summer in terms of area than any summer in history.
Yeah, in history.
You know, and we're only 9 days into summer officially.
Yeah.
So there's only so much you can say. I guess, you know, unless there was something like a town really gets upended or whatnot, things, there's not much more to say other than they're still happening. And where's the evacuation order today? And that's best left to the services at the moment.
Well, again, I hate to point out when you're wrong, Douglas, but I will, because it's my responsibility. Both sides did talk about it. One said that it was because of climate change, and the other one said that the party was responsible for starting the fires.
Well, yeah, that was Skippy who did that.
Sorry,
I was talking about serious conversation.
You're talking about reality.
Who's the liberal?
Reality.
Who's the liberal, and they're responsible for starting the fires?
Yeah.
Yes.
According to Pierre Poilievre,
It is unbelievable that everything now turns into some kind of a conspiracy. And I think that's part of the reason why people are avoiding these conversations. We've kind of done it to ourselves, right? Like, we get forced into these corners, and no one wants to talk their way out of them because the conversation it's unbelievably dumb. So both sides are honestly, every time we talk about Ukraine, I get a text from somebody that's saying that the war isn't real, or that I'm on the wrong side of it. Like, it is unbelievable. So I think what happens now, people are like, everything's a conspiracy theory. So everyone's a little on edge about the idea of introducing the conversation because they don't want to fire up the other side. So I can't believe that we've turned, and there's a belief that the fires are being over exaggerated to prove the climate change, right?
They're not,
Right.
though. They're not.
Let me show you a picture of the Atlantic Ocean over Spain, Portugal.
Earth is on
Spain.
fire.
You see this? See that? That's from Canada. That's Spain. That's Portugal. It's just in Portugal. Beautiful place. Benfica
That's
Stadium.
the Export A smoke.
Yeah, Export A. Here it is, eh? This is these are space images. You can see it from fucking space. So I'd love to talk to the people that say that this isn't actually happening. Number one, and number two, I'd like to slap the person out. I'm probably going to get in trouble for that. Who says it's politicians just running around starting these fires to get us all upset with climate change? It's what they're doing. They're trying to get us to make us okay with the fucking carbon tax. That's what I heard today on Twitter, Douglas. I heard this. All right, so I read this. Someone was like, this is just a climate change hoax, and the liberals are starting fires and trying to get us to buy into the carbon tax. And I'm like, wow, is that ever thinking an idiot? Right?
And here's the thing, right? So that's the thinking an idiot, and then the speaking an idiot is trying to get you mad for 41 cents on the liter plus whatever else they say is going to be on it, versus the fact that now you can't get home insurance.
Yeah.
Or that your insurance rates have skyrocketed 33%.
It's a
in
Friday.
the last 5 years.
I've got the runs.
Get mad by 41
I don't
cents
want to
on
get
the
into the carbon tax conversation.
No, it's not carbon tax, but it's get mad about this one thing.
Yeah.
That costs
over here.
so little, and then but forget that this is coming on too. But don't get mad about that. Don't get mad by the fact that your home insurance is going to skyrocket. Don't get mad by virtue of the fact that maybe now you will, if you're buying a new home, you're going to have to probably buy it cash because you won't get insured.
God damn it! Both sides do it, though, Douglas.
That is so much more expensive.
We got a situation with Bill C-18 where they're like, "Oh, look at we're going after the big guys. We're going look over here, look over here, look over here, look over here." You know what? They're not paying their fair share, and then they're gonna slam this thing in and fuck the citizens, right? Like, so you've got a situation on both sides.
Are you talking about gaslighting? Because what we're talking about here. Yeah, it does a little bit. Yeah, sounds kind of hot too. But because both sides do it. Like, and you good point to jump off Bill C-18, because like you watch the conservatives, or you watch certain people gaslight forest fires and people being evacuated and using it to get people to believe in some kind of Fugazi fucking ideology. Is like, oh, the liberals are starting fires. It's fucking ridiculous. It's what the Conservative Party of Ontario has been saying for like the last 4 weeks. And now he's shut up and put on a different suit and thinks he's fucking Ben Shapiro. But anyway, none of that stuff matters. What matters is this. Locke's right. Locke's right. It's, you've got one side or the other. We can both sides this discussion. It's about the conspiracy dickheads. And when it comes to C18, and let's talk about that. Google this week decided they were going to follow suit with Meta, and they told the Canadian government, go fuck yourselves.
Yep.
We want nothing to do with paying you to use our service, which you make money off of. We want nothing to do with that. Now, what does that mean? Meta is going to block news service on every Facebook account in the country, and Google will not be providing links to news stories that you Google. Now, there are a billion other search engines that you could use, but the message has been sent because the Canadian government was like, you pay us, we'll give that money to newspapers who are failing because you suck the oxygen out of the room. That's their discussion. And it is very un-Canadian because you don't pay any taxes here because they all are in the United States. But to Lachlan's point, I find that to be fucking absolutely disingenuous, right? Like where
it is, because that's not what that thing's about.
The Canadian government is saying you're an anti-Canadian if you don't believe in this. I don't believe in it because it's a terrible fucking return on investment in a business, right? Facebook is a business, and I hate that business, but it's a business. Google is a business, and they offer a service that we've been using for 30 fucking years, or in some cases 20 years, to be able to amplify our messaging and make money. Now, I don't like it. I do believe they've sucked all the money out of advertising in this country, but to call it un-Canadian because you understand how commerce works is just more gaslighting from those guys on the left. Douglas, I'd like your thoughts on that.
Okay. The verbiage being used is very, very specific.
Yes.
On purpose.
In this case. And it's being very specific because this is an issue that plays differently in all of Canada except for Quebec and within Quebec. And when I say all of Canada except for Quebec, I mean, of course, with the exception of, let's say, Francophone and Indigenous communities. When it comes to this type of stuff, those are the types of the communities I tend to look at as I consider them the canary in the coal mine. And I don't see any of them freaking out about the bill. I don't see much of the official spokespersons from these communities saying that they feel that there's any threat from it. So I'm not worried about it in that sense. But when we're talking about paying for media, we're having the government is in an interesting position because, yes, there's a basic regulation of business and, you want free flow of information and you don't want to censor things. But there's also, if you want to have a functioning democracy, somebody has to make sure that there is at least the infrastructure there. And if the infrastructure for it cannot be profitable, right, then it's a service that has to be treated for a service. You can't expect it to make a profit, but you're going to have to put some rules around it and you're going to have to try and find a way to fund it. And then the government's in another tricky position because everybody keeps on saying, well, if the government has anything to do with the funding whatsoever, then of course these medias are all, they're spokespersons for the government.
Well, no, I think the bigger issue, Douglas, is, I hate to interrupt.
I would like to finish, please.
Okay.
But the verbiage on this one is when you hear Pierre Poliver speaking, for example, when he talks about defunding the CBC, he doesn't talk about it in French. Because if you defund the CBC, you have to defund the entire infrastructure from coast to coast to coast for the CBC because Société Radio-Canada has a mandate to provide those French services in French to Canadians coast to coast to coast. There is no way you defund the CBC without defunding Société Radio-Canada. So when you're listening to the verbiage, there was a book back in the day called Les 34 cordes sensibles du Québec, the 34 sensitive chords of Quebec. And those are things like in marketing, if you look at commercials.
Sounds like a page turner, Douglas. Sounds
yeah.
Like
well, if you were in my field, it really was very interesting. Yeah. And it shows what chords you pluck in messaging in order to appeal to the not necessarily only the rational side, but the more emotional side that will make you want to take action within Quebecers. And the messaging on this, if you listen to what Pablo Rodriguez says, now we listen to him in English, but if you listen to him in French, and if you translate those words into French, if you substitute those words, they're very similar to the words that were being used in the sovereigntist debate. So when he's sitting there, he's going, Facebook is going to come here and tell us that what we can do in our own home. No, it doesn't work like that. That's very much the same debate as, Canada's going to come here and tell us what we can do in our own home. No, we are masters in our own domain. the verbiage is very, very, very specific.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so there's a securing Quebec strategically part in this that's going on in this verbiage.
Not equal. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the issue that when you hear me get wound up about something, and I've explained this to people before.
You get wound up?
I do,
Really?
occasionally.
No.
It's always about inequity, right?
I got a short story, a quick story.
Bill, the bigger issue is, and I think you can use this as a blanket statement for everybody in Canada. When a government steps in and says they're going to regulate something in our country, they're going to make a mess of it. It's what's going to happen. I think we're going to have to, by the end of this podcast, Douglas, we're going to have to agree on that.
No.
Give me an example where the government being involved in anything has actually benefited us from a regulatory perspective on free speech or
hundreds of them, dude. Hundreds of them.
The fact that I can actually be on this show and not worry about getting killed.
Yeah.
Okay.
An out gay man in a relationship
with a tiara,
openly discussing it.
Okay.
With the tiara
and cheesies.
That's
maybe when I'm
government regulation.
when I'm looking at this kind of thing, I'm looking at it from how people conduct themselves in business. I always have a concern when the government steps in and says, we're going to take care of you. We're here for you, because I'm always a little bit leery about, really? Are you? Is there something else? Is there another reason why you're getting involved in this?
Well, there's always a reason,
Alberta?
right? Like that's what I would ask Douglas and Paul. I would ask Douglas that question, and I would ask it in terms of like, because you support the Liberal government. You like Justin Trudeau, correct? Like you like what he does for Canadians. You believe in his mandate. We believe, and some of his
compared to the alternatives.
Yes. Okay, great. So
that's important. That's a very important fact.
But you have the ability to look at Bill C-18, which is a preventative bill, and go, this isn't what you do. This is not how you. And I that's what I would ask you, because you support the guy, you support the government in face of the opportunity or the alternative. But like, is it possible for people to look? Because I put this tweet out all the time. People think I'm like one of those libtards. People think I'm a lefty. It's like, you're a lefty idiot. You SJT's D. I hear that a lot. You JT DSing a-hole. I hear that a lot. And I fucking carve him over this bill, because this bill, what it does is prevents the free flow of information. And then you tack on Bill C-11, which is about regulating user-generated content. And by the way, we operate at the biggest user-generated content platform.
So do you think that's a good idea, Douglas? Do you honestly think the government should be controlling the information that you get? That's maybe where we have an issue, because
that's the breakdown.
It's not controlling the information that you get. You have to understand that when we're talking about government, when we talk about government, when we're a stakeholder on one specific issue, we look at what the government is doing on our issue. But the government, remember, has to serve all the people and has to do what's best for all the parties. So they have to do what's best for content regulators. They have to do what's best for consumers. They have to do what's best for people that could be affected by negative consequences of what you're doing, and they have to try and shore that up. They have to think about what's good for business, what's good for general society, and they have to mix it all that together, and then they have to come up with something. And then when the basic attitude that whenever government gets in something to regulate it, it screws it up. Well, again, compared to who? If we leave it strictly up to business, are they going to have our better interests in mind?
No, and I don't agree with that, Douglas.
If we leave it strictly to an NGO, will that be the case? Will that? No, you got to sort of mix it up. So you got to trust somebody sometime. Yes. And of all the
that's
players,
where we're falling apart.
Government is the one.
I don't fucking trust anybody.
No, yes. Well, life doesn't work that way. You got to trust somebody. And in all of these players, the government is the one that has a direct response for you, where you can change the players. I mean, how much more difficult is it for us as a group to go and vote 4 years and say, I didn't like what you do for this last 4 years, I'm taking you out, rather try and invade a stock meeting at a company and try to overturn the two people who made something happen, right? It's This is a more direct democracy. They have they have the media up their butts all the time. What about this stakeholder group? What about that stakeholder group? What about this? Asking them questions. You got to trust someone. And now, of all the players, the one that has the most accountability directly on the daily basis, on the ongoing basis, is the government. Yeah, they're not going to do everything our way, and they're not going to do everything right. I mean, for most
But they're not
tackles, for
beholden
most
to
issues they
profit
tackle,
greedy
they're new
shareholders
advocates.
either.
That's
Well,
Oh my God! You
well,
guys
hold
live-
it though.
you
Like,
guys
let
live in
me.
a
So you
different
gotta
world.
cut some
You guys
slack.
actually think that the government isn't corrupt.
Oh no,
No.
Oh, I didn't say that. We
No.
didn't say
no,
that.
that's
Instead
not
of
what anybody
government
said.
is
Let
corrupt.
me just kind of
I'm just saying, of all
interject
the
here.
players out there, this is
Yeah.
the one where we.
Good Friday show, by the way, Dean.
Yeah,
Holy
you're welcome.
shit!
I'm happy to bring everybody. You're the only guy jacked up, dude. I don't know why you're so angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
chill
Like
as hell.
everybody's just
Because I
sitting
want
around
to agree.
talking.
I
Sipping
want
wine.
to find something. I want to find some common ground here. I
You
think
might
it's a
not. You
mistake
gotta
to
be okay
let
with
the
not finding common
government.
ground.
I honestly
Sometimes there
think
isn't
I'll say this, Douglas. I think it's a major mistake to allow governments to control what information we choose to let into our homes. That's the problem that I have with this bill. And listen, and is
I
there
would
stuff
agree.
out there that's harmful? Yes. Is there stuff out there that you don't want certain sectors of the population to see? Absolutely. But I'm telling you right now, the problem I have is the government deciding what that is. I
Okay,
don't
and
know
I'm
what the
asking-
answer is, but
and
I'm
I'm just
saying
asking
that
you-
that's my issue.
And I'm
My
just
issue-
asking you
Point.
that given that the fact that there is no such thing as a perfect system, consider the counterfactuals. If you had this exact situation going on, bet you had the corporations making the decisions for you rather than the government, would you trust it even more? Who would you trust more?
I trust me. I trust me making
But
the
you're not in
decision on
charge.
what I get to
But-
see
but-
and
but-
what my
but you're not
family
making
gets
the
to see.
And there is the entire issue in a nutshell is that, and this is all a personal preference thing. And
Right.
when we think about what we're allowed to say and do online or in real life, we want absolute freedom. The really shitty part for guys like Lachlan and myself and all of us who do content, that is not afforded to us in this country. Reasonable
No.
limitations are. Now, where I 100% agree with Lachlan, and I'm capable of seeing nuance in this discussion, absolutely capable, that, the government is trying to end run using real legal triggers that are at their disposal. They're trying to not do that. So what are they doing? They're trying to regulate the internet to stop people like Rebel News from lying when it'd just be really fucking easy to go and get a legal solution. They won't do it. They're trying to regulate hate speech, so they're going to regulate everything, and they're going to tell people what they can and can't have in their houses, as opposed to going after people and bolstering up some kind of hate speech squadron where they could cyber go and do that and legally take care of it, because we have hate speech laws in Canada. They don't apply any of those things to the online world, because in the online world, he'll take a beating and be seen as a partisan hack, and then they'll lose political credibility. And so the problem that I have, as Lachlan has, is number one, and this has been happening for a long time, and I don't believe there are any golden fucking gooses, is that the government has subsidized mainstream media in this country for a long
Yes, it has.
time. So number one, they are immediately collusive, in my opinion. Immediately. Number one, because they take that money. If they didn't
argue
take
with
that
that.
money, they wouldn't be collusive, in my opinion. Number two, they paid for the lobbying for this bill and these bills for a reason, because they think that they can work with the government on deciding what information comes into the country and what information leaves in this country and what people can read, watch, and consume in this country.
And I
And
can't
the
believe you
whole-
don't have an issue with that, Douglas.
Well, hold it. I can see where Douglas
on.
doesn't have an issue with it, because the ends justify the means. And I can see both sides of it. Like I said, super smart. I can do nuance. Boom. I'm a genius. But I can say that part of
I
me
don't do
says,
nuance.
you know what? If you have to corral every asshole online with this over-regulatory bill, and if you need to give money to failing businesses like the National Post, which is a failing fucking enterprise, so is the Toronto Star. Mainstream media in this country isn't just in trouble. It's a fucking 12-alarm blaze. Mirko Bibic from Bell called mainstream media crisis. Crisis.
Yeah.
It is in
Yeah.
crisis. And so all of the needs that these mainstream media people have fit in with what the government mandate is. And that mandate is, how can we protect Canadians, which is overprotective, which is taking away the ability people have to fucking consume what they want. How can we be overprotective? And at the same time, you're going to hate this word. Some of you might. How can we bribe mainstream media and at the same time not have to subsidize mainstream media so we don't look like we're collusive and we're funding media in this country? There are like 4 or 5 different tenets here, right? And you have to look at the whole. And if you look at the whole, you can see the intentionality. But the other part of this that fucking drives me crazy, and I'm with Lachlan, I'm a free speech absolutist as long as that is not hurtful free speech. And we are not accountable for the idiots that fucking watch 12 hours of Fox and sit on Facebook all day long, because that fire hose of bullshit isn't going to go anywhere. You can still Google Fox. You can still get on Facebook. You can still go and see the same propaganda that everybody gets their brains melted by. So it's not like it addresses anything. Plus, we have a billion other search engines. Like Bing trended yesterday. I don't know if anybody's used Bing, but it's DuckDuckGo trended. Like, I mean, it's just ridiculous. So we're arguing. And here's the other thing. This is the last thing I'll say. You get fucking news from Facebook or Google, you can get it from anywhere you want. But if you get your news from Facebook specifically and you're really pissy you can't anymore, you're a fucking idiot.
And here's the thing is, maybe I'm just not as paranoid, but I don't assume that there's like some nasty thing waiting at the end of this, because again, if that were the case, once these laws would be enacted, they could be used against the Francophone population of Quebec and Indigenous people. And they would never stand for that. So if there was some type of booby trap in there, well, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But if there was some type of booby trap in there, they would be screaming about it already.
There's a reason why.
I have a comment.
I have faith that...
I've got a comment to make, guys. I have a comment to make, and I think you might find this a little bit interesting because it's kind of a full circle.
I hope so. That's why you're here, to say interesting things.
So this law, effectively what we just was brought into Australia 3 years ago.
Right.
And what happened? Google and Facebook caved and stopped blocking the news. Number one.
And they paid.
They paid. Number one. Number two, remember a few years ago how local television stations who broadcast on the air, so if you have a rabbit ears or an antenna or whatever, you could get these stations. And I remember a while back, a friend of mine, when she moved into a new apartment, I hooked up a set of rabbit ears and she got like 6 channels. And she goes, is this illegal? And I go, no, it's broadcast over the air. It's free. She goes, what do you mean? I don't need cable for that? I'm like, no. She goes, so I've been paying for this for decades? And I go, oh, there's a bigger story here at play. And there was I can't remember if it was a bill or legislation where local media companies were saying, okay, look, cable companies, we get it. Mm-hmm. Cable and satellite companies, we get it. You had our signal for free for decades, and we allowed you to have it while you built your systems. But your systems have been in place for a very long time. And we're not going to give you our signal for free anymore. You need to start paying for it because you've been profiting off our free signal for decades. And they're like, well, we don't want to pay for it. And I'm like, oh, well, we'll just cut you off. We're seeing the same thing right now with Google and Facebook when it comes to news feeds in Canada. So it's just another play. It's you know what it is? Money. That's all it is. Yeah. That's all anybody fucking cares about is money and nothing else. And as long as somebody somewhere is getting paid, this argument goes away.
Yeah, the Googles and the Facebooks think that people being mad that it's a little more difficult to access their news will put the pressure on the government to make them cave and then allow them to do what make us their bitches. And the other way, and the government is in this wonderful position for once they get to punch up on people that nobody likes. Faceless companies that never have anybody there when you need to contact.
Meanwhile, punching through something
bros
that is actually could be used to actually censor the rest of Canada. Because at the end of the day, the Googles, the big businesses are not going to hurt in this. I think what's going to end up happening is I think you're going to see Bill, and that you might be right, Paul. You might be right. I
don't think they will. Listen, I don't think they're going to cave. Like I had a conversation with someone that works at Google here in Canada yesterday when everything hit the fan. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Pablo Rodriguez is losing. We didn't count on them responding like this. And I'm like, okay. So I called a friend of mine at Google. I'm like, Explain this to me, like real quick. Like, are you guys going to cave? Are you going to pull in Australia? You're going to just like, oh, we're canceling, and then just, all right, here's your news. And they're like, absolutely not, because if that happens up here, the United States is going to do it down there, and that's 350 million people that we want access to. And
we're a test ground. I don't know. There's a difference between what happened in Australia and Canada.
There are 18 million people in
They
Australia.
caved in Australia because they cut it off during a national emergency, which is what's going on right now.
During the wildfires.
Yeah. But it's a business. Here's the thing. It's a business. We're talking about them like they're some kind of public service. They're not. It's a business. They can turn it off at any fucking point in time if they want. And I happen to fucking be one of those dudes with terms of service with this site that we own, Crier Media. I know how important it is. Like, I'm going to put my shit up or I'm going to turn it off because that's my prerogative because I fucking own it. Right. And it's the same thing with Google and Facebook when they're like, hey, give us $200 million so we can enrich these people that are using your platform. It's like, well, hold it. Let's go through the billboard model. Do you think Pattison or Astral or anybody that owns a billboard company pays people to use their billboards? That's where I'm at with this. Like, that's literally where I'm at with this. We can get in and arrow down to, who does what, but it's a fucking business at the end of the day. And the government to say it's not is ridiculous.
The difference between what's happening in Canada right now with this bill C-18 is, and again, we brought this up on the show this morning, and I even told Jimmy after the fact, I'm like, we shouldn't be talking about this. I don't know enough of the ins and outs of it, but I remember somebody specifically saying that what ended up happening in Australia might be different and you might not be able to use a direct comparison because they were specifically looking at trying to find a way to put money into the pockets of the people who created content. So if you put something out, wrote something, and it got put out, the money would go to that contributor. So Lachlan, the blogger. So they found a way to get money out of these bigger companies, Facebook, Google, YouTube, and get it right in the hands of the actual content creators. The issue, I think, and again, I could be wrong. This is just me basing it on overhearing conversations and doing a bit of reading on this shit, is that the money that they plan on getting out of from Bill 18 from these major companies, from these major corporations that do not have homes in Canada, it's going to go directly to the companies that employ people. So it's kind of like, and where will that money go? Will that
where it goes? I'll tell you where it goes.
Sure.
We rode this fucking roller coaster in the pandemic where they're like, hey, Bell's like, oh, we can't pay people. Government of Canada. We need 30 million, 40 million, 100 million. And they're like, okay.
And then they lay off a bunch of
people.
It
is. Then they fire all the people that they were going to take that money and pay them with, which they fucking did. And Rogers did. And every other media company did. So that is exactly what will happen. You know where that money went? I'll tell you where that money went. And I'll tell you where the subsidies are going to go if big tech ends up paying. In the pockets of their investors, it's called a dividend. That's what it's called. And it happens every time.
And in Australia, the correct content.
It happened in Australia.
The content creators got money.
No, they didn't. But the brands got money.
But are you sure?
100%.
Individuals got
newspapers.
The money.
Nope. Newspapers and brands. Sorry, Douglas. Go ahead. Yeah.
But even if they could pay content creators directly, like we are, for example, then you get to the question: well, what if I'm representing? What if I'm the complete opposite person of who I am, and I'm doing this type of podcast, but I'm putting it out to wannabe Al Qaeda people?
Right.
Like this, like but I'm a content creator like this. So then somebody has to apply for some type of license then to be a content creator, and somebody has to decide, and another set of regulations, and who do you trust to decide who gets paid and who doesn't? There's always going to be a system. Yeah. Right. And then there's always going to be a point for contention going, oh, well, there, we can't get them. So that's why I'm saying at some point in the democracy, you got to trust somebody. Yeah, you can't just say that the person doing it is not the right person to doing it because and find fault. You got to trust someone because you got to compare everyone to their alternatives.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. But it's hard to trust. Go ahead.
I saw a comment out there, how does it, you don't understand how it hurts the content providers for Google to say, okay, I'm not going to link to you now anymore, Ottawa Citizen, okay, or CBC, okay, well then I'll just go directly. And I don't see how this might be a bad thing in the end. I mean, with Facebook, right? Back in the day when we were just sharing recipes and pictures of our kids and whatnot, there was none of this stuff going on. So when I'm on Facebook now, if I'm not seeing all these articles, even if I don't click on them about how Joe Biden ruined the world today and Trudeau ruined the world today, I don't see all of them because they're all gone. I just see what my friends put. I have no problem with that. If
I'm kind of okay with
the
that.
National Post crap isn't circulating freely just because you saw it on Facebook, you just saw the title, and I'm going to share this with someone like this, I am okay with that. I think that especially the conservatives might want to be a little careful what they wish for, and I think a lot of this noise and this is because what's really going on is they're upset because the National Post content and the Sun content and all that stuff that they need to keep going, all of a sudden is not being hand delivered to you. Just when you're going to look at something, get an update on your grandkid. Now
We can get back to social media actually being social media.
That'll never
As
happen.
opposed
I
to
have no
sharing.
problem with that. I have no
You know
problem
what?
with that. I think Canadians will probably be okay with that for the next 3-4 weeks or whatnot.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it at all. I think it's great. I think it's like a business standoff. And to your point, not seeing that content, I don't know, like the way that it operates, and glad we're getting to it now. Talking about what I saw during Pride Month, right? We're last day of June, Pride Month. The content that I saw on social media, we touched on it like in the last podcast. You had Christians and Muslims stepping on LGBTQ flags, and please correct me if I get the acronym wrong. But you had the LGBTQ flag being defaced in a bunch of pictures, people saying, quit jamming that flag down my throat, which I thought was fucking hilarious and a great choice of words.
Yep.
And it was a flag, and it was like on an ATM machine. There was this one lady that put out a tweet. It's like, I'm really mad at Toronto Dominion Bank, TD Bank, because that flag they put on an ATM might turn my daughter gay.
That was a
pushback.
Canadian thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that was a Canadian thing.
It's TD.
I want to know.
We had the family in Leduc, Alberta, saying that there was like all these new colors on the Pride flag. I guess they were okay with the original 6 because they complained about them, but that the black was for necrophilia now. And
The couple from Leduc that in city council that were talking about gays and bestiality.
Oh, by the way,
they know our flag better than we do, apparently.
That couple, by the way, that couple has been photographed with Premier Danielle Smith multiple times because they're good friends.
Oh, there you go. Everybody wins there.
Yeah, I was reading about it earlier today.
Incestuous.
So
who said that the black part of the flag was for bestiality? They just made that up?
No, that's necrophilia.
And the brown was for bestiality, and
the
pink was for pedophilia with young girls, and the light
girls.
blue was for pedophilia with young boys. And
it's like, where the fuck did they how warped is your mind to come up with this shit and then spew it out there for the world in a city council meeting? What the flying hell is wrong with your head?
Well, that's what I'm asking. That's why I wanted to talk to Douglas, because as a gay man who is very proud of the progress we've made, where is this coming from? Because this, like a post saying, I hate your flag, quit jamming it down my throat, would have been instant cancellation a year to 2 years ago. And now it's like open season. So where's this coming from?
If we're constructing political enemies, the Americans have caught the car on abortion. Hating on Muslims isn't that cool anymore because it's been like 20 years since 9/11. And so who are the next scary people? Transgender people. And then, since we got the transgender, let's see if we can throw a little gay in there too, since, they've made too much progress. And just today, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that, for example, if you have a website or if you're a baker of your cake and a gay couple asks you to come and make a wedding cake, if you object to gay marriage, you don't have to serve them anymore.
That just went through literally an hour or two ago.
Yep. So
your comment the other day when we teased the fact that we were going to have this conversation, I thought was an excellent sort of analysis of what's happened. And it actually happens kind of politically, more so in the States, but we do this in politics in Canada as well. We have these progressive movements, and the pendulum swings, and then it goes, up here, and everyone's like, "Yay!" And then there's a group of people that goes, "That's no, it's too far.
20-year
Let's
cycle.
bring it back. Let's start pulling it back a little bit." They do this all the time down in the States. They're like, "All right, we're going to elect the first black president." Oh, no. We went way too far. Let's get rid of him. Let's come back here. Now we're going to put the whitest, dickest guy in there. Like, they do it in extremes down there. And I think that's
Except they did elect Obama twice.
they
though. That
did
was the
put him
weird
in
part.
twice. You're right.
Yeah, but then
I
after
think
that,
maybe
this-
the extreme was too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went really extreme.
But then it's like, right? It's like, oh, Obama, ooh, twice. Oh, God, we got to fix that. Ooh,
Now
twice.
we
damn.
really
oh, God, now
have
the
to
ACA
offset that pendulum.
Yeah,
Let's
now the
put Trump
ACA
in
gets to
there.
stay. Well, let's fix
A
that Voting
racist.
Rights Act.
Old
Yeah.
man.
My sister was in Florida visiting a friend. She was on business, and she said, she was in Miami for business, and she decided, I'm going to take a road trip. I'll go up to Daytona to visit a friend.
Mhm.
And she rented a car, and as she's driving along the highway, she saw, and during Obama's first term, when he was running for his second term, she saw billboards on the highway, and hold your breath on this one. It had a picture of President Obama, and it said, "Don't renege."
Ooh, ouch.
It was in a billboard, Florida.
On the highway, on the I-95
Yeah,
in
there
Florida.
you go, Florida.
Yeah.
What a fucking
Like,
state.
But-
Fuck me. She told me that, and I was like, "What?" She goes, "I had to pull over.
Yeah, they
I was
swung,
so shocked.
They
I couldn't believe
swung
it."
way too far.
hard right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
but
if they get fuel from that's one thing, Douglas. This is a concerted effort, and it's been all month, right?
Oh yeah, it's been all month.
Mhm,
It's now that Pride Month. Like for us, it's not on one hand it's Pride Month, and then it's spend a month swatting flies on internet even more frequently than you
Yeah.
used to month.
Well, how did you handle it? What did you do? Because, like, obviously being part of the community, you see the pushback, and I watched you on Twitter be very, very kind when you didn't have to be about it. But, like, where is it a movement? Is it an operation? Is this bolstered by the Jordan Petersons, Tim Pools, Matt Walshes, those losers?
It's
What is
first,
it?
It's first that, because if you notice, even like the Canadian, what is it? The Campaign Coalition for Life.
Yeah.
Right. That's an abortion thing. They're even fundraising now on the trans thing. It's like, it has nothing to do with your mandate,
It's not your mandate at all.
right? Nothing at all. So it's, Maxime Bernier, who once marched in a pride parade, now is like complete, against anti-trans stuff. In Portage, Lisgar,
Portage.
Braden, Portage,
No, Portage.
Portage,
Not
Sorry,
Portage.
sorry.
Portage.
I'm French.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
We got corrected
Portage.
this morning about that.
Portage Lisgar, Braden, that guy that got in now Garnet Genuis has a buddy, pro-conversion therapy buddy on the benches. I guess, and all the other people in the Conservative Party of Canada are just sitting right next to them in the caucus. You've got two people
Not saying
who are
anything.
outwardly saying that we support torture of children, and they're welcome in the caucus, and they're not kicking them out. And meanwhile, you got Pierre Poliver, on that thin edge of the wedge abortion bill, saying that he's pro-life but voting for it, right, quietly.
The one thing that I'm curious about, Douglas, is was there a moment or was there a significant event that kind of opened up the door for this conversation to be allowed? Because I find it interesting from the perspective that Dean has mentioned a couple of times this month. When did it be okay to be outwardly against? Like, I don't
Inclusion.
remember a time when it would have been okay for anyone to say some of the things that I've heard this month.
Yep.
And I equated it and made the comparison to the Bud Light conversation, which is kind of on a parallel sort of plane here, where Kid Rock went and shot up the Bud Light, and then the doors flew wide open on that. And I'm wondering if there was a moment in the last 6 months where somebody said something or something happened, some kind of an event where it was like, okay, we can bash that movement now. I don't remember it, but I'm wondering what the hell. It just sort of did creep in.
It was, well, they tried it a while ago. Remember, it started with bathroom bills in the United States. Right? And remember, when it comes to gay, trans, all that kind of, it always comes with the same thing. It's always about protecting the kids, right? They couldn't be big brothers or scout leaders because of the kids. You couldn't get married because kids do better in a family with a mother and father, or biological mother and father. You can't let them adopt because, well, there are plenty of heterosexual families, and that's a better model. And, so all these things, right? But it always becomes about protecting some type. It's always couched in some type of concern for the family, concern for the kids. So that's what's going on here as well. So it started with the bathroom bills, right? And it's like, oh my God, you can't have men dressed as women, right? Because of course, for them, it's all cross-dressing. It can't be anything having to do with your identity like this. And of course, it's all predatory, going into little girls' bathrooms and, attacking those little girls, even though there's no incidents of that ever. And of course, they're never concerned about women dressed as men going into little boys' bathrooms and attacking little boys. They never talk about that. It's always about attacking little girls. Then it became, sports. Oh, well, our poor girls, those guys that want to win so bad, they're just going to pretend they're girls. And like, really, you're going to change your whole life, present yourself as being a girl, like just to win an award at the high school level.
Yeah.
Really.
You're gonna get your junk cut off so you can win a foot race.
Yeah.
Well, not even cut off like this, but you're gonna commit, because you got to commit, right? I mean, if you're gonna be trans like this, you have to be living like this 24/7, right? At school, you can't have a slip up, right? I mean, if you're
not Randy Macho Man Savage acting like a woman all of a sudden, right?
If you're just dressing up to be able to win that 100-meter race and beat everyone, but you're acting like yourself the rest of the time. Well, I mean, clearly you're not, right? So, I mean,
I'm not suggesting we got a comment that suggests that this is brand new. I'm not suggesting that it's not new. I'm suggesting that someone opened the door to make it public all of a sudden. Like I'm seeing tweets and things on social media, and I'm like, what? Yeah. Like honestly, it's
mind blowing, because we've seen the sea change, right, Douglas? To Lachlan's point,
and then you get the drag queen story time, right? Yeah. Which is, if you draw a parallel, what is the difference between drag queen story time and those princess parties, where somebody comes dressed as Ariel or Elsa and like this, and celebrates your birthday?
There's no difference.
The characters,
no difference.
There's literally no difference, right? Like this, but one's making people free.
Dean had boys.
Everybody,
so he's not sure what's going on here right now.
And everybody's a groomer, and everybody's a pedo, and everybody, but the thing is, now it's getting so ridiculous that even on the other side, I saw this clip the other day that Karima put on about some people defending, right, at a protest, and somebody where people are saying like, "You guys are groomers." No, we're not groomers. And she's singing Alanis Morissette's "You Ought to Know." Will she go down on you in really, like at a protest where you're saying that you're not groomers? Like, really, is that your appropriate choice of song?
Yeah. Same people that show up and say that the world sucks and everybody's negative, but they have 40 "fuck Trudeau" flags on the back of their F-150. I love those guys. Or on their Subaru, not looking at Lachlan.
Everyone needs to know. Everyone needs just to stay home. Okay?
Let me ask you something.
Why are we protesting?
But all of this stuff, right, is Charles Adler, when we interviewed him, said something that was really telling. Said this other side is constantly probes, throws things out there to see which segment of the group they can hit that people will not come and defend. And they hit on transgender because a lot of people don't understand it. People are afraid of what they don't understand, and they represent about 1% or less of the population. So who's going to stand up for them? And it raises a lot of money because you can press they're coming for your kids.
Yeah, they're gonna abuse your children in a bathroom, and they'll never be the same. That's what they keep telling people. Question: we've talked about the militant arm of the LGBT community. I have some really interesting experience with that arm of the LGBT.
Yes, community. You do.
But there is a respectfully, there are extreme factions in every group, marginalized or not, that misrepresent the whole. Is some of that happening here? You mentioned the protesters that are standing there saying, we're here to protect trans rights while they're stabbing people with fucking umbrellas and being incredibly untowards in front of children.
And
Like-
using similar techniques to the occupation with the sound whistles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're becoming what you say you don't like.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, should we speak to that too? Because like that's the stuff where it's like it comes out in the behavior. There's literally no difference in either side at that point.
Thank goodness that there are people defending these things. Right? That there are people that are willing to come out and do those things. Right? I'm all for it like this. But again, often it ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes fighting fire with fire is bad.
It just leads to more fire, more things being burned down. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need fire with fire, but sometimes like if we're at an event where we're like talking about, particularly like this one was in front of the NAC, so I don't know if there was a drag queen story time going on, but if there are children around there, right at the event, if it's just a general protest, do what you want like this. But if there are actual children there too, like this, maybe choose your activities in consequence.
Yeah, but it's the only place either side gathers is in front of schools now. It's like you know what? Can you imagine?
CTFD.
Let me just kind of bring this up.
CTFD, man.
Yeah, but let me bring this up. Why is there no Doug Ford law to make protests like when it was happening
legal in front of fucking schools,
hospitals?
Yeah, nothing.
But because it's for gay and trans stuff, we're not going to do that now.
Let's just let that one go.
No, it's unreal. And you know what? They're both sides at this point. You want to get into the groomer conversation, and I'm not talking about gay and lesbian. I'm talking about left and right. I'm talking about the wackos that misrepresent good people on either side. I'm talking about the psychos. Both sides are organizing in front of schools, using kids, taking kids to these rallies. Like that is fucking hypocritical if I've ever seen it. And that's the stuff. Like it's morphed from us versus them in my mind, or them versus us, or right versus left, to now the dregs, the assholes, the losers who have nothing to do on weekends because this shit's over. So they just pivot to different things that they can go fight each other. It's like a traveling set of assholes that just continue to be assholes, but they're being assholes to each other in the name of something while we can have this normal conversation. They can't, right? At all. And it's what we see on a daily basis, but it gives power to people to treat each other like shit. That's what I'm talking about now. I'm not talking about who's right or who's wrong, because I know who's wrong. And it's the people who say you cannot be gay, and you cannot be gay in front of kids, and you cannot get dressed up like Betty Boop and read a fucking story to a child if you're a man, or you can't get dressed up as Freddie Mercury if you're a woman and read a story to a child. That ridiculousness is there. All of those people, if you're on the right and if you fucking hate this drag time story stuff and you think trans people are going to follow your kid into the bathroom because they're dressed up funny, don't take them to Disney World, because that's all you'll see. That's all you'll see.
That's all you're going to see.
Goofy's going to chase your kid into a bathroom. It's all you'll see. It's the same thing. It's people getting dressed up. That's all it is. But it's
or Comic-Con.
Or Comic-Con. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, good. Look out. There's Lieutenant Worf from Star Trek. He's going to follow your kid into the bathroom.
I'm thinking of becoming a brony.
Oh, good. You would make a fantastic brony.
You'd be a good brony, brother. So
a little loud.
So
you'd be a great brony.
I watched an interview with Dave Bautista recently, and we all know who Dave Bautista is, right? A former wrestler, and he plays the part of
Drax, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Drax on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Big macho wrestler dude. He's like 6'4", 6'5", big dude, bit of a badass, right? And he used to have a tattoo on his forearm of Manny Pacquiao. He had it covered up. Do you know why he did that?
Because Manny Pacquiao doesn't believe in equal rights.
Well, that's one of the reasons. But the other thing is, you're right about that, Dean. But the other thing is, Dave Bautista has 2 moms.
Oh.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I did not.
Oh, yeah. No, his mom's a lesbian, and he is like one of the most respected, revered, and loved people in Hollywood because he's just such a great person to work with, and he has 2 moms. I think he turned out okay, and I think he's done okay for himself financially, and he's been a very positive voice for the LGBTQ community. And he's like, as soon as Manny Pacquiao came out and showed his true colors, he's like, fuck that, get that tattoo covered up right away. Right away. I want it covered up. This fucker cannot be on my arm because he has preached against the existence of my 2 moms. And I'm like, that, my friends, is what a badass is.
Money where your mouth is, baby.
Fucking right.
Yeah, I like it. That's good. That's you got to live those values. It's
Be careful with tattoos, everyone.
Yeah.
I think that's the lesson right now.
Yeah, really.
I had to cover up my Louis C.K. tattoo. I had to cover up so many tattoos this last year. My Bill Cosby back tattoo. I turned that into an eagle.
I have
That
one.
was a mistake. I told you not to get that one.
Yeah. I
So,
was so
so
upset.
this means strength.
Yeah.
I looked it up before I got it done.
You
It
sure
means
that's
soup.
not a Jeffrey Epstein tattoo? Is
It
you
means
sure
So
that-
here's the thing, right? So my buddies are always.
I loved
razzing
him
the
when he
shit
was
out
a
of me.
financier. I got a Jeff Epstein tattoo.
Yeah.
I
He was
got
putting
that
kids in he putting
on
kids
the
in
day I
college.
turned 30 because when I was young, I had cancer and I didn't think I'd live to be 30. And I was told I probably would not live to be 30. So I got that on my 30th birthday 25 years ago, next Wednesday,
Good for you.
which is cool as shit, I think, because holy crap, I never thought I'd be around this long. But my buddies are always razzing me. No, that's Paul. That's soup. That's order number 7 in a China. I'm like, no, it's strength. I looked it up.
It's soup.
I had a Chinese girlfriend.
What's up for you?
Her parents looked at it and go, "Oh, strength, good for you." Like, I know what it means. It does not mean soup. No, it means wonton soup number 7. No, it doesn't.
It's
I looked it
combo
up.
number
I had
6.
it done properly.
I have the same opinion about tattoos as I do about protests. I think we've talked about this before. I cannot think of anything that would get me out of my house down to the ledge to protest. I have a lot of passion about a lot of things, but I'm not going to go make a sign and go stand there on my Saturday and jump up and down and get angry about anything. We live in a very good country. I also don't feel strong enough about anything to fucking go to a tattoo artist and spend an entire day getting my back or my shoulder or my leg like inked up. I just can't think of anything. I like music.
Yeah.
I like art. I like a lot of things.
Yeah.
I just can't think of anything that is worthy of a neck tattoo.
And I'm never angry
yeah.
enough. I will never be angry enough to go and stop traffic with a cardboard sign on a stick.
I know.
It's just
so
doesn't
lost.
That's
exist.
what I'm always baffled
Yeah.
about. Don't
Lost,
you have
genuinely.
something to do?
Yeah.
Like,
No, at this point, like
Genuinely.
we've been doing this for 3 years. That's the thing, right? The people that are still at this, like, and you watch Karima's videos. At Karima Rules, go follow her. She's great. Watch Karima's videos.
she needs a fucking hobby.
It's
Speaking of,
it's a
fucking-
community
she
of
needs
morons
puzzles.
who all know each other, and like they show up and they bark and they yell and they act like tools. And if it's not about vaccines, it's about mass. If it's not about mass, it's about mandates. If it's not about mandates, it's about kids. It's about trans. It's about book reading. It's about like pivot. So here's where I'm at. This is where I'm at with all of it. No one cares.
Karima is a far better human
without
being than
question.
I'll ever be.
Without
Nailed
question.
it
Because she's
before
helped,
and what let him to
she's helped people that I wouldn't have in the same room as me.
Absolutely.
And I've seen her
Yeah.
offer her services to help people. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you are a much better
I want
person than
nothing to
because
do
I-
with any of those people. We were I had a phone call with her yesterday, an hour-long kind of planning phone call. We were having a conversation. I'm like, you're still at it, huh? I'm like, she's like, yeah, it's a community of like losers. I'm like, is it ever? She didn't say losers because she's way nicer
of
than me.
course
She's
not.
it's a community of
She's
people
way
that are,
nicer than I am.
put on a show every weekend, and it's like fucking wrestling. And I'm like, you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. It's people with no jobs, people with no life, people with no education, people with
Nothing.
no hope.
Yeah.
Showing up because a
What it
Bible
is.
told them to, or maybe they think they're literally, and this is the thing, all of these people think they're fantastic fucking unicorns who are showing up to put on a unicorn show and
Yeah.
be heroes and save other unicorns. That's literally how fucked these people are. And it's like that around the world. If you fucking show up with a cardboard thing on the end of a stick that says stop this or do that, and you spend every weekend and you look forward to that, and you take time away from your family, and you're not productive, and you're not reading a book, or you're not taking an online course, or you're not spending time with your fucking loved ones, and you choose to do that, you are a mental mess. You are an emotional
doing the
disaster.
laundry?
What's that?
Like, I got a whole bunch of laundry to do this weekend.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
Like,
my time on the weekend too.
I
I got
got-
laundry.
I showed
I'm
up
supposed
twice.
to clean the bathroom. That's
I've
going to take
literally
me
showed up twice,
most of the
guys.
morning tomorrow.
You showed up
The one
twice.
that-
Yeah, the one
the
where you
one I
freaked
went
out was
viral.
the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even, it happened. And then when they came back in April, right, I stood and I didn't go viral on that because I just went to see and document. I didn't yell at anybody. I didn't scream at anybody. I just documented some stuff and made some commentary. And I watched Chris Sky on the Hill, and I'm like, this guy's coked out of his fucking skull and spewing stupid bullshit that doesn't even make any goddamn sense. And now he wants to be the fucking mayor of Toronto. If this guy gets
I
elected,
wish that would have happened.
if he gets elected, I'm leaving this country. Fuck it, I'm moving to Norway because thank God, less than one. Was it 1.1% voted
Dude
for him
got-
apparently? And he's like,
Yeah, you got 1.1.
he had a rally today at City Hall. Stop the steal. Oh, for fuck's sake!
And that's like,
really,
I'm sitting there,
Really?
it's like he's hearing, yeah, but it's like, hey,
That's
you
it.
worked for Trump, but Poodle, you're not Trump.
Poodle.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Poodle.
You know what's interesting about this conversation for me is I think we have like this path that we're on, like all of us individually.
Mhm.
And I've really tried to honestly, I've tried to open my mind to this a little bit more. I'm trying to figure out what motivates people. So when I totally agree with you guys on the Karima thing. Like, God love her. Like, we need so many more people in the world like her.
Mhm.
And that she's the unicorn. I am so dismissive of something that doesn't sit right with me that I shut the door, and I'm really trying not to do that as much anymore. Like, I'm really trying to listen to another opinion, even if it's something that I really don't agree with, because I'm becoming more and more fascinated with how people get there.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, that's as frustrated as the beginning of this conversation at the podcast was for me, because I worry about the government censoring us or saying, or even presenting the idea that they're the ones that should be controlling what comes in and out of the country information wise. That terrifies me. Listening to Douglas work his way around it
While
is
eating
interesting to me.
cheesies, by the way.
It is interesting to me because it is such a different perspective for me,
Mhm.
right? And again, I think that's where we're losing the script a little bit in a lot of these conversations. We're jumping the gun, and I'm just as guilty as everybody else. We're jumping the gun to a safe place for how our mindset sits on a lot of these topics. And when we jump into that box or that part of the conversation, we shut the door on the other opinion, or something conflicting to what it is that we're thinking. And that's where I think a lot of our issues are arising from now. But unfortunately, we just don't have a lot of options on the political side, which you're saying is, we got to have somebody look out for. Like, I disagree with that sentiment completely, because I don't think anybody in politics has the ability or should be taking care of any of us. I'm very concerned about the future politically, but I am hopeful.
I hear
You
you.
need somebody like Karima, right? Like, Karima is the type of person that allows that other side to have a voice,
Mhm.
and from it, you get an idea of why we might be where we're at, right?
Mhm. What I find fascinating about Karima's commentary, and she films stuff, and when she films it, she doesn't comment.
No.
She doesn't comment but we were on the show one day with it was myself and Karima and Dean and Tom Marazzo, and Tom was spewing his stuff, and Karima came out and said, "But Tom, that's your singularity. Your personal experience is not what everybody else experienced." Because, "But I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that." And I was like, "What, you think that's different?" And I'm like, "I couldn't do those things either. It wasn't just about you. It was about all of us." And Karima's able to see both sides of the story and sort of say, "But you're being a dick about this." Right?
Yeah.
And you're not showing compassion to this fella over here who went through the same damn thing, but you're like, me.
Yeah.
And that's where she's able to dispel it and put a better face on it, if you will.
Well, Tom is an excellent example of that disintegration,
Oh yeah,
because he went in, grabbed a side,
Mhm.
put together a camp. They all
Mhm.
got underneath the same tent, and then they all started fucking fighting with each other.
Yeah. And it was beautiful. It was
They
beautiful.
were
still are.
supposed to be on the same
They're
side.
still fighting with one another.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
and
kicked
the
him out.
The
whole
whole
thing
movement
fell
is
apart.
fighting with each other, like right down to the political parties.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And
I
you
mean,
know what? You know why?
all you
I'll tell you why.
What?
Because you have to be stupid to believe any of that. It's a fact. I'm
Well-
gonna play a video right now. Like it encompasses everything.
And then there's Dean.
Well, they're idiots.
And there's the-
They're just stupid people. They have the IQ of a fucking fresh fruit. Like that's it. Like I
Maybe a
got
spoiled
fresh
fruit?
fruit in a bowl, like a lot of it in my
Smarter.
room. Oranges, apples, avocados. I got it all.
Smarter.
All smarter than every single one.
I'm always
of,
trying to do this with Dean. Like we
these
got to look
people.
at the other side,
Yeah.
and then he just says he lets it go for a minute, and then just can't
Dude,
handle it. And he goes,
the people that
"Yeah, but
show up
they're-
to any
they're
protest at
fucking
this point
idiots."
are all fucking idiots. I don't care what side you're on. You're a
They are.
moron and you get the IQ of a fucking banana. Let's watch it, okay? I'll watch it. This is people showing up to Hamilton for a, I don't know, stop the gay rally or something. I don't know. Fuck, watch it together. There you go. All right, fellas? I mean, isn't that exciting? That's totally mentally normal. That's emotionally stable right there. Like that old gentleman. Like these are just people that have nothing to do or nowhere to go. That's all.
These are boomers dancing to the Beastie Boys? What the fuck? Okay, she's not a boomer, but
Yeah.
everybody else is.
Yeah, and clothes are smaller than they should be. Anyway,
Well, he's got a tie cat shirt on, Oski Wee Wee.
you got to fight for your right to party, everybody. Look at that guy with his phone. I mean, like this is who we're talking about. Like the fact that this is even. Look at. I can't
Oh my
watch
I think
it
this
anymore.
has a lot to do with there's not enough hospital beds. I think that's what that is.
My God, these are the people that would let me listen
Oh,
to
yeah.
that song when it came out.
Yeah. But like that's really the problem now. Like the only like all the kind of like people with some type of intelligence quotient where you could like turn on the tap and get a glass of water, that kind of genius, they've all kind of left. Like they're all like, yeah, I gotta go get a job.
It is-
Yeah, I gotta take care of my kids. Yeah, I gotta.
We
Like, and the only people that
I
are
gotta-
left are the people that literally blow their nose with like fucking firecrackers. That's how
Jesus.
dumb these idiots are. Just dumb. Like
We
incredibly
have,
stupid.
They also vote and procreate.
And they should all have the right to vote taken away, and they should all be sterilized.
see.
Well, here's the
Jesus.
thing. I don't argue with the sentiment, but the actual
I don't
idea
care
of
what
it, I'm
anybody
against.
says right now. I believe that. After my last 3 years, when I watched that video, I'm like, where's the sterilization line? Like, where is it? Everybody,
I'm not
go
for
line up.
eugenics, but
You know that
Yeah, I know.
everything that comes after the button negates the first statement, right?
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know what? I'm
No, no,
comfortable with
exactly.
it. I'm comfortable with what I said.
But when you're talking,
I'm not
about,
racist, but
yes, exactly. I'm not a dick, but
every Thanksgiving dinner, there's an uncle
I
that
didn't
says
say
that.
I wasn't
and
a
you
dick.
never know what's coming
I'm
next.
a nice person.
It's like put on a helmet. Here
but
we
I
go.
am settled on that is a mental, like that is an acuity issue right there. That is like,
Oh yeah.
like if you gave those people a choose your own adventure book, they'd look at it and go, I'm not a fucking doctor. Like seriously.
yeah.
But they'll tell you all about vaccines and how vaccines will
And
kill
they know
you.
about
That's the
vaccines.
irony, right?
Like those people are like they know everything about vaccines, they know everything about social issues. But if you literally gave
now they're
them,
technology.
if you gave them a bag of fun dip, they'd look at you and go, I'm not a fucking engineer. Oh
and now they're experts in endocrinology, right?
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, all,
And we're getting to the point, but this is the thing that worries me because, like we're laughing and pointing and mocking as we should
I love it.
at that group. I guess
That was difficult not
You-
to.
you point-
I really, really work on the judgment piece, but that was
exemplary. I was actually really
try
interested
not to
restrain.
present stuff like that to me, and
Hey, the band's rocking.
You're,
out. They're
you're
doing
trying
a
to
good
set
job,
them
but-
off, aren't you?
that is the most bothersome video I've seen in months.
Those are the whitest people in the world right now.
Look at
The
that
whitest-
move.
The whitest kids you know, that's them right there.
Look at that move.
Douglas, you were talking.
Look at that.
Go ahead,
Look at that stank face.
But the thing is that this can get.
I bet you they won't do a Snoop Dogg cover.
All right.
And now gin and juice, everyone. That'll clear that room.
Snoop Doggy.
Too dumb for life. Too dumb for life. Douglas, continue.
Can I tell a quick story?
No, not yet. Douglas,
You don't have
continue,
the
and then you get the
capability
quick
of doing
story,
that.
and then we'll split. Go ahead.
Okay, I
Douglas.
got a quick story
Okay.
about a complaint I just
Okay,
got.
just wait.
Okay.
Go ahead, Douglas.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought
go
you were
ahead.
going to finish. I just
I
wanted
was just-
this
yeah, I
hot
was saying
babe
that-
on the screen.
Yeah, the thing where it gets dangerous is that, and we're seeing this at some point. Sometimes it crosses over, and we're seeing this in New Brunswick at the moment, where the premier of New Brunswick has a caucus revolt and might even lose his premiership, or at least might have to go into an election because he has decided there's this thing called Policy 713, which was passed under his watch, that I guess he did not read. And then he came back and then he tried to change it because all of a sudden Policy 713 said that if you're in school, if you're a child and you ask your teacher to refer to you by a certain pronoun or a certain name at school, that they should do that. Well, now he's turning around and saying, well, if a child under 16 asks that and doesn't have parental consent for that, then the school should absolutely tell the parent that this is going on at school in order to, again, protect the child. Even though there may be a reason for which the child has not yet told their parents, that doesn't matter. And then the policy was adapted, and then it was, well, okay, if we don't tell them, then we're going to invite some psychologists and some social workers in, and we're going to get them to try to pressure you to find a way to get you to agree to a process that will involve your parents in giving this information about you.
We have more
Now,
important things to
but
worry
luckily, here's something that's going to make you happy, because this is the one where what you're worried about on censorship worries me, because right now people are looking at it and say the parents have a right to know. Okay, even if you assume that the parents have a right to know, the question is it the government or the state's job, duty, role, place to be the one telling the parents?
No.
And this is the debate that nobody's having. Exactly. Because if this happens, if you open the door, this is thin edge of the wedge. Same thing as trying to do the fetus rights thing on abortion.
Like that
As soon as you give the right to the government to take personal information about you and say, now belongs to me, and I can share this with whomever I want,
That's bad.
whose information are they coming next, and with whom will they share it?
Yeah.
That's right.
So hold on, I'm confused though. But they passed a bill that allows that,
They're trying.
or they passed a bill that stopped it, and then now he's trying to pull it
Reverse
back.
He's got a bill. He's trying to amend it to
Oh,
make it do the
Jesus.
opposite of what it did on that one.
Brutal.
And it's gotten so bad that a member of his caucus walked out in the middle of his speech and wrote a note, handwritten note, "Fuck you, I'm out." She was a lot more polite, but basically that's what she said. And then another guy, a couple of days later, who has been with the party for 25 years, who says, "I cannot be a member of this party anymore." 4 previous party presidents said he needs to step down. Like, this guy is grasping at straws right now because everybody wants him out. And you have to understand that the woman who walked out in the middle of his speech is an older white woman who says, "I am a progressive conservative. This is not progressive. I'm out. I'm out.
Mm.
I'm out."
Good for her.
Mm.
Good for her.
Yeah, no, we
That's
watched
the kind
that,
of
and I'm like, that's
protest
how you do it.
I'm okay with. I will tell you a quick story. And it kind of reminds me. The Beastie Boys reminded me.
Will you
of
tell
it.
us a
It
quick
will be
story?
A quick story.
Okay.
So we gotta-
should I take a pee first?
Yeah. Should I go
No,
get a
no.
snack?
I need
We got a
I
complaint.
guess I should
We got a
open some
complaint
bag.
the other day.
Yeah, open up another bag of cheesies. We're going to be here a while. Go ahead. You got a complaint? Yes.
We got a
Stockton?
complaint because all through COVID, Grant Johnson, who does we changed it to the Grant Report, but it was called Fake News for a couple years. Once Trump got in, we started doing this piece called Fake News, and it's very well written. Grant is brilliant at it. But as soon as COVID hit, he was calling it the Coors Light virus, and he was calling it the pandemic. And it was all tongue in cheek. And I don't think I've ever actually heard him once on the air when he talked about COVID without calling it the Coors Light virus. And I don't think I ever heard him say anything other than the pandemic. Well, we got, I'd say, a 4-page complaint about someone who may have accidentally ran into our radio station. That he was
that it was a joke.
referring to it as the pandemic. And like, Grant is very liberal. Like he's a very progressive young man, and was doing it to be a dick.
Yeah.
It's like
satire.
Things now. It's satire. We hear things now in the world that we live in, and we don't give it a chance to settle in as to what it might be, and that's a problem on all sides. I catch myself doing it, and I'm
guilty.
Laughed because I didn't even know how to respond.
I'm perfect.
This world.
I mean, I don't know what
Well,
you
with
guys
that
are talking
haircut,
about.
you are,
Yeah, I
good
look
sir.
good. And
That
I
haircut,
choose
you
my
are.
words carefully, and I never offend anybody. That's how we do things here. I don't know what the fuck your problem
Never
is,
offend
Lachlan.
anyone.
Douglas has really been off key today as well. Paul, you're a mess. I'm great.
I'm a total fucking mess.
I'm
Are you
living
kidding me?
I don't know
Fabulous
what's
life.
wrong with me.
I'm a mental health issue at all times. I got a whole channel about that
I know
shit,
you do.
man.
What's wrong with you, Locke? Something wrong with you?
I got a lot of issues today. I'm not sure what's going on with me. Both the dog and I have the runs, and I can't remember what the two of us have eaten at the
Jesus.
same. Like,
Is your wife back yet, or is she still out of town?
yeah, she's back, but this is a recent development.
The runs
Okay,
are a
well,
recent
it's the-
development. Your dog's got.
It's
There's
from the
nothing
recent
worse
food
when
you
your
ate.
dog has the shits either, because you're like, you know he's got the shits. You take a shit bag with you. You go for a walk. You're like, okay, buddy, do your thing, and
It's hard to
like,
clean up.
and you're like,
Is
I
it the
can't
sympathy
clean that
shit?
up. But here's what you do: if your dog has the shits, if you have the shits, you know where to go. Your dog can't. You have to get the bag out and pretend you're picking up a turd, and then leave the soup on the ground. That's the move. I just wanted to let you
when
know.
it's the runs,
Yeah.
you just nope.
I don't do
Well,
that.
you
Can't do
should.
that.
There's
I literally, I'll walk to where he did it with a shovel.
yeah.
I can't
wouldn't do
leave
that.
it.
I'm one of those
yeah.
guys that gets
Dude, if
angry at people if they don't pick up their dog shit. But when I used to take my dog for a walk, when I had one before I lost it in the separation, which was awesome, I would like, if it was a messy one, I'd be like, I do the phantom poop pickup all the time. I'm like, okay, who's looking at me? You pretend to
I
pick up the
can't.
shit, and you take the
I
bag
can't
and you
do it.
tie it, and you're looking around, go, look at me putting this in the garbage. Look at this. Look at me.
There's nothing in it. It's
Sometimes
empty,
there
right?
was nothing in it. Sometimes I left the shit in the park. I'm just letting you know, or the sidewalk, or the ditch. Didn't matter to me. If it was a soupy, runny shit, I wasn't picking it up. I wasn't even making an effort. It's pointless because I did it once. I did it once because I was trying to be a good citizen. Never again. Never again. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. I was retching. I was like,
Yeah, I can't. That's one of the reasons I can't have a
I got
dog.
it. I got a shovel.
So last Friday,
Yeah.
we go to the pub. We leave the pub. We come back over here. We're sitting.
You
down.
took a shit on the
we're
sidewalk
just
and
like-
picked it up?
I was just gonna say, is this a story about you shitting on the sidewalk, Paul?
No,
You
not
left
at all.
it
Because
there.
that
We're
would be
just-
a great.
You left it there.
We're
There's
just
one.
like, she's like, do you have anything to drink? And I go, I have nothing. I will run to I'll run up the street to the liquor store. I'll get some wine. I'll get us a bottle of wine. I'll be right back. It's literally a 5-minute
You
walk.
took a shit in your breezeway? You tell me you took
No,
a shit
it's
in the lobby of your apartment.
It's literally a 15-minute round trip.
Okay.
It took me an hour. Why?
Sometimes
Because-
I shart when I run.
Because I had to stop and pet and talk to every dog I saw along the way there and back. And she's like, you saw a lot of dogs, didn't you? I go, yeah, like at least 20. Because in my neighborhood, there's so many dogs. So I'm like, I stop and talk. I'm like, hi, buddy. How you? Like literally every dog I see, I have to stop and pet and talk.
Yeah, me
to.
too.
I can't help it. It's a thing.
But I don't pick up the shit sometimes if it's too soon.
no. Well, it's like I want a dog, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
Because
Really,
my
eh?
stomach will. Oh no, dude, I can't.
Dude,
Like
you've
literally.
got a problem picking up real dog turds? Like if it's just a
Oh, yeah,
log,
yeah, yeah.
nice
No, I'll
warm log
vomit.
in your hand on a cold day, that's not a bad deal right there. I don't mind picking up like the logs, the cigars, like the fresh poops. If it's like solid, but I won't pick up a soupy one. There's no chance.
Nothing.
Sometimes
Can't do
my
any of
dog
it.
has a 2-bagger. Like he shits like as much as me sometimes, and I got to go down there with second.
I'd have to
bag.
toilet train my dog.
It's
literally
long,
toilet
it's
train my
long,
dog.
It's big, it's heavy, it's poop.
Like, yeah. Like
It's better
he's
than
had a
bad. It's
pound.
good.
He shit a pound one day. I swear to God, it was like
Don't pick it up if it's goop.
You heard the
Yeah,
story
like,
about. you
if
heard
we
the
were
story about George
starving,
Clooney?
he could have fed a small village with that shit.
You heard the George Clooney story when he was out of work and he was in LA and he was an actor friend of his said, you can stay at my place for, as long as you need to until you get your next gig. He goes, really? He goes, yeah, totally. Don't worry about it. It's covered. I've got a solid gig. You just eat, drink, whatever you want. Enjoy yourself. I know you're going to be auditioning. It's all good. He goes, okay, cool. So he's like, I'm staying at my buddy's place for like 3 weeks. And I'm like, I got to do something around here. So the cleaner comes in, does a lot of stuff. And I decide I'm going to clean up the cat litter. So every day I clean up the cat litter. And after about a week, my buddy, my host, who says to me, he says, Yeah, George, I'm a little worried about Kitty. I go, oh, why is that? He goes, Kitty's not had a movement in a few days. And he goes,
I've heard
oh,
this
really?
story.
I'm sorry to hear that. I hope Kitty gets better. So for 3 more weeks, George Clooney continues to clean the litter box every day. And the owner, his buddy who owns this cat, is like, I'm a little concerned about Kitty. So I've got this Turbo Kitty Lax, and this should take care of things for Kitty. He goes, no problem. So he puts it in the kitty's bowl, and he goes to work, and George immediately pulls it out of the kitty bowl and throws it in the garbage and feeds the cat regular food, and then goes over and defecates in the litter box.
Took a huge shit in the litter box.
So the guy gets home from work, and he's like, Kitty, Kitty, Kitty. Oh my God, Kitty! What have you done? Dude, he told that story on the Tonight Show back when I think Johnny Carson might have been on.
That's right. I do remember this. It was a late night talk show story.
I laughed so hard I thought I was going to throw up because the idea of you get home,
he's always fucking with his friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
he's a great
legendary prankster.
The guy whose litter box he took a dump in, he gave him like last year because he sold his liquor company. He gave him like $1 million cash. Just like he brought 10 friends in, and he was one of the guys. And I'm like, you let a guy take a dump in your kitty litter box for $1 million 25 years later? The answer is yes.
Yeah, he had a dinner party with, I think it was like 12 of his closest friends. Yeah. And they all got $1 million.
Yeah, cash. Yeah. Like cash.
Yeah.
He just said, here's a bag, here's $1 million.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Well, he sold his liquor company for $500 million. So that was like nothing to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing.
Anyway.
Yeah. So there was this story about one more of the kitty litter stories. It was the girl who said, I'm on a blind date, and we went back to my blind date's house, and I went to use the toilet, and I took a dump, and the toilet clogged, so I pulled it out and I threw it in the kitty litter box. And he came to me a couple minutes later and said, did you shit in my cat litter box? She goes, no. He goes, my cat died 3 weeks ago.
Relationship's over.
It's a real mistake for you to open
and
up
she's
the
on the
door
phone
to
going,
stories.
she's on the phone in the toilet going, how do I get out here? She's calling like people or her friends. How do I get out here? I don't know what to do.
I think we opened up a dark door for Paulie Atkinson on the show, didn't we? Where he's like, I've got 2 great shit stories I want to tell you.
I've got 30.
Unlike you, Locke, I've got 2.
Settle down.
It. Those are the only 2 I have. That's it.
No, I've got 30 shit stories.
Yeah. Everybody
There
does.
was a year there. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I kept shitting on the golf course. Like I'd shit my pants. I'd bend down and grab the ball. I was literally at a golf course about 10 or 15 minutes away, and I crapped my pants on 3, and I had to call my kids to meet me at the turn.
With some pants.
So they brought a change of clothes, and
was it a shit? Like,
and they're like, "What's
your
going
pants,
on,
or did
Dad?
you
Why
fart
do you
and
need
draw mud?" That's the question.
My mom
it was
did
a shart
that once,
but it was enough of a shart for me to be concerned about continuing and finishing the back 9. So I literally had to get my kids to drive to the golf course. They're in the parking lot, and I walk up to them, and I like grab the pants, a new pair of shorts, and a new pair of underwear, and didn't make eye contact, and walked and changed. Yeah. And I shit my pants like out of town. And I lost 4 holes because I had to go back and clean up. I was literally going to get the maintenance crew to spray me down. That was that concerned.
Down.
What was it? Did you have the Rhea? The Rhea? Was it?
I had loose bowels that summer for some reason. I don't know what it was, and I wasn't hanging on to poos like I normally do. That was like I sharted my pants like 3 times.
You really you're not a shat pant virgin?
3 golf courses.
No, I've done it way more than 3 times. Anyway, I don't want to get into it right now.
I shit my pants about once a year.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Lachlan Cross, 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton, at Lachlan Cross on Twitter is where you can find him. If you're looking for a radio host that shits his pants once a year, that's your guy. Very easy.
And he'll talk about
That's why we have showers.
Yeah, exactly. From the True North Eager Beaver podcast, that is Paul Atkinson at Paulie's World on Twitter. At True Eager, that's my friend Douglas Connors. Call Me Calm is where you're going to find him on Twitter as well. Download and sub True North Eager Beaver podcast, Politics with a Twist with Mr. Beaver and Mr. Grizzly. Always entertaining every weekday morning. You can get it on our Twitter feed, on their Twitter feed as well. And of course, at Crier Media, where you can find all of us and all of this, crier.co. Douglas, Paul, great to see you both. Thank you so much
Great
for
to
spending
see you,
time
sir.
with us. I love you both.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you, Dean.
Thank you for having us.
Happy
You're
birthday,
very
Jen.
welcome. Happy birthday, Jen.
Gentlemen.
Jen, happy
Yeah,
birthday.
Jen Waddell's birthday's tomorrow.
Was it?
Happy birthday.
Jen, in the comment
Yeah,
section.
yeah.
We got a lot of people at Jen's birthday, Jen Waddell, whose last
Well, and her
comment was,
twins,
it's the
her
pills.
twins' birthday is tomorrow too.
Okay, good. Everybody's birthday is tomorrow. Congrats, Jen. We'll talk to you guys soon. You guys have a great day.
All right.
See you.
Bye, everyone.
Good to see you
Hey,
guys.
Locke, your
See you
skin
later,
looks
Locke.
really good today, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
Really?
Yep.
Am I looking okay?
Yeah.
Who's better looking?
All right.
Who's better looking, Douglas? Me or Lachlan right now? Like if you had to
Well,
pick.
that new
If you
haircut.
had to take
that
one of
new
us
haircut
home,
is-
which one is it going to be?
Oh,
Probably me, right?
that's a tough one.
Probably me.
Oh, okay. Well, Dean seems more eager, so I got to go for eager. I got to go for eager. I want those who want
That's a
me.
strong move.
That's right. Right there. Put it up there. Little fist pump. Right there, Douglas.
Oh.
That's right. There you go. There you go. See you, boys. Yeah.
I'll be on his
You
list
waited too
next
long,
week.
Lachlan. You waited too long. You hesitated.
Sorry.
Thanks, boys. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great day. Lachlan Cross, Paul Atkinson, and Mr. Douglas Connors from the True North Eager Beaver podcast. Great to see everybody today. Hopefully we covered a couple things, had some fun, talked about shitting. It's not the worst show. Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate you being here. As always, part of the Crier Media Network. Everything that we do, everything we say, you can find with our friends over at crier.co. So head there today. Also, thanks to our friends at Cantork, Canada's #1 tool assembly experts. They do everything from assembling, making, fabricating beautiful, hardworking torque wrenches for industrial tool experts like yourself. They offer you the very best sales, service, rentals, calibration, maintenance, custom fab of industrial torque tools. No matter the scale of your bolting project in the railroad, nuclear, steel industry, it doesn't matter what it is, oil industry, and you're looking for a bolting or fastening or loosening solution and you cannot find one, these are your guys, Canadian made. They're in Edmonton, Alberta as well. So super proud to manufacture in Canada, to hire Canadians to do that work as well. So you know everything is coming from this beautiful country. They do work all over the world. Trust these guys, cantork.com. Go there today. Also, our friends over at Gitch, Gitch, Gitch3 is your promo code. Go to Ed's Fine Imports. Gitch are men's underwear engineered for any level of performance as well as everyday life. Pouch in the front, super breathable. You'll love them. Bunch of different colors. This is all I wear. I swear to God, you're never going to wear another pair of underwear again. And they're boxer briefs, so you'll look good. Trust me. And the pouch is like a push-up bra for your stuff. Yeah, that's right. You'll look great even in pants. Go to Ed's Fine Imports. Get yourself a pair of Gitch. Use promo code Gitch3 at checkout, and you'll be off to the races. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you being here. We'll be back on Monday with a very special show. Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week. We're locked in, so we'll see you then. Appreciate you being part of the show, and try to be nice to each other today. You don't have to. Just makes your existence in the world you live in a bit of a better place sometimes. Up to you. I don't care. Have a great day.